Hey guys, Amrita here from FTJ and welcome to week 4 of Talknology, the weekly tech show where we bring you all the biggest tech news from around the world. So let's get started. But hey, before we do, please subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications and hit like if you are liking this new series. So the big news for this week, guys, is that the popular online shooter PUBG is going to be banned by the Indian government.
No!
Yes, you guys heard it right. The game that has been downloaded over 175 million times in India alone is now under the government's radar. And why is that? Well, the government previously has already banned 59 other Chinese apps like TikTok, UC Browser and ShareIt, and that have been over allegations that they have been stealing the data of Indian users. And although the developers of PUBG Mobile are a South Korean company called Bluehole, they are distributed mainly by the Chinese conglomerate Tencent. And guys, that means that a majority of your data, people who play PUBG, that's on Tencent servers and thus accessible to the Chinese government. So what sort of data does PUBG log? Well, things from IP addresses to game timings to when you get online on the app, what sort of games you play, what sort of game modes you play basically, and everything else. That includes a lot of geographical data as well, like from where you are logging in and stuff like that. So all this data is available to the Chinese government through Tencent servers. At least that's the allegation right now. But PUBG themselves have come back with a new privacy policy that is aimed specifically for the Indian users. So what this new privacy policy states is that all the data of Indian users will be logged only on Indian servers. And what's more, that any user can at any time see what the data is being logged. Like they can request Tencent and they will send them the user data, and they can also request that data to be deleted. Now, will this change the government perception about PUBG, and will PUBG end up being not banned? We don't really know at this point. So I really want to know, what do you guys think? Do you really think playing PUBG is a matter of national security? Would you guys be playing PUBG anymore, or would you move to some other battle royale on mobile, something like Fortnite or maybe Call of Duty Mobile? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. So the second biggest news of this week is that we now have the complete leaked specifications of both the Galaxy Note 20 and the Note 20 Plus. Samsung is looking to announce both these phones on the Galaxy Unpacked event 2020 that's happening on the 5th of August, so basically next week. Well, what about the leaks? What do we know so far? As far as the Note 20 Plus goes, what we are hearing is that it will come with a 6.9-inch curved AMOLED screen. This is going to be a QHD Plus screen like we have seen with the Note 10 and not with the Note 10 actually, the Note 10 Plus. And it's also going to have a center punch hole again like the Note 10 Plus. And it's gonna be at 120 Hz refresh rate. And yes guys, unlike the Samsung S20s, this time Samsung would actually be allowing us to go to 120 Hz even at QHD Plus. So something we can do already with the OnePlus 8 Pro. As far as the Note 20 goes, well, it's got a more moderate spec list, I should say, because it's got a smaller 6.7-inch screen. It's still AMOLED, but it's Full HD Plus. It's not a curved display anymore, it's like a flat panel. And the refresh rate is, guys, the most disappointing part. The leaks suggest that it's gonna come with a standard 60 Hz refresh rate. Honestly, after seeing stuff like the OnePlus Nord, that's like a mid-range phone, come with a 90 Hz refresh rate, I was really hoping that Samsung would bump the refresh rate here. Anyway, the cameras, well, we have an interesting bunch of cameras in here, starting with the leaks about the Note 20 Plus. The primary camera is a 108 megapixel, so same as what we had seen with the S20 Ultra, but this time Samsung looks to be solving some of the issues that we had seen with the S20 Ultra. So that 108 megapixel camera, it had some issues focusing, with the autofocus being a little wonky at times, so we are gonna see a laser autofocus added on to that 108 megapixel module. After that, for the other two cameras, we have a 12 megapixel ultra wide followed by a 12 megapixil periscope zoom camera. So this camera is gonna have 5x optical as well as 50x digital zoom. So yeah, looks like Samsung isn't going for the 100x digital zoom marketing this time around, probably because of the heavy backlash that they faced with the S20 Ultra. This time they're limiting it to just 50x space zoom, or at least that's what they're supposed to be calling it. Anyway, coming down to the Note 20, what we are seeing here is the exact camera setup as what we had seen with the S20 and S20 Plus. So what that means is a 12 megapixel primary camera, 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, and finally a 64 megapixel zoom camera. Now this one isn't a periscope zoom, so it can't go up to 50x. This one can only do up to 3x optical and 30x digital zoom. Then that brings us to the rest of the internals. So as far as the specs, the leaked specs that we have seen thus far, it seems like what we would be seeing is the global variant would be coming with the 865 plus, and in other regions like India, what we would be getting is the Exynos 990. That's for both the Note 20 and the Note 20 Plus. The main difference between these two would be probably the RAM. The Note 20 Plus is gonna come with 12 gigs of RAM, while the Note 20 is supposed to be coming with 8 gigs of RAM. As far as the storage, the Note 20 Plus, the base variant is gonna have 256 gigs of storage, same as the Note 20. But then the Note 20 Plus, because hey, it's a Plus, it's the bigger model, it's the pricier model with the better specs, it's also gonna have a 512 gigabyte option. As for the batteries, what we are looking at right now is the Plus having a bigger 4500 milliamp hour battery, but the Note 20 isn't too far behind. It's just got 200 milliamp hour less, so 4300 milliamp hour batteries. That about covers it for the hardware side of things. On the software side, what we are looking at is wireless DeX capabilities. So yeah, that's going to be very interesting. We are also might be seeing more integration with Microsoft, so more integration with Windows 10 maybe, and as well as that, we also should probably be seeing a lot of new S Pen features, because hey, it's the Note series, it always comes with new S Pen features, right? So that's about it for all the leaks about the Galaxy Note 20 and Note 20 Plus. Do let me know, guys, what do you think about the new Note 20 series? What are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments. Moving on then to the third major news story this week, and it seems to be like the Asus ROG Phone 3 that had been launched in India last week. Apparently it has a 160 Hz refresh rate. Yes guys, you heard it right. It's not just limited to 144 Hz. That 1080p display can apparently go up to as high as 160 Hz. So why didn't Asus let us do it from scratch? Like, you know, why don't we have that option regularly? Well, it seems like there are still some optimization issues, but as the people in XDA have figured out, you can actually go into the ADB settings and tinker around with some options. You have to put in this code that's on the screen right now, and once you do that, you can have the 160 Hz refresh rate. So why would you need 160 Hz on a mobile phone? I really do not know. Honestly, 144 Hz seems good enough, but hey, if you want it, it's there. But guys, do be aware, it might have some issues with the calibration of the screen as far as colors go, and it might adversely affect battery, because hey, there must be a reason why Asus didn't give it to us by default, right? So yeah, keep that in mind. And moving on to the next news story, this time from Xiaomi. It seems like they have partnered with Qualcomm in bringing up a new system of GPU profiles in their latest phone. Apparently, it seems like their Mi 10 Plus, which is going to be powered by the 865 Plus from Qualcomm, well, that is supposedly bringing GPU profiles kind of like what we had only seen before with PC GPUs, so something like an NVIDIA or an AMD card. So what are these profiles? Well, these are mainly power profiles. So we have stuff like power saving, balanced, performance, and custom. Now the custom profile is the one that really caught my attention, because this is the one where you can tinker around with anti-aliasing, anti-isotropic filtering, texture filtering, and all that sort of stuff. Stuff that we have generally only seen possible in video game settings in the PC right now. So yeah, you can do it in something like a GTA 5, but heck, if we are able to do it in something like PUBG or Call of Duty Mobile, that would be incredible. But at this time, it's only a leak. We have only seen screenshots of Game Turbo Plus. Yes, that's what Xiaomi and Qualcomm are calling it. And I don't yet know if this is something that would be enabled by default, or if this is something that game developers would have to specifically support in their games, and only then can we go into like create a custom profile for it and toggle around with all these settings. Anyway, whichever way it goes, interesting time ahead for mobile gaming. Now, on last week's Talknology, we covered the Amazon Prime sale. So if you guys haven't checked that out, here's a card to it. Check it out right now. But there is another new phone that's apparently going to be launching, and this one is from Redmi. So this is the Redmi 9 Prime. Now guys, if you remember, the last Prime phone that we had seen had been several years before. It was the Redmi 3S Prime. So this is now the new phone that will be carrying on the Prime legacy. So what are the specs of the Redmi 9 Prime? Well, right now we don't really know, but the leaks point towards two possible phones that might be rebranded in India as the 9 Prime. So these are either the Redmi 9A or the Redmi 9C. Now both of them have a 6.53-inch IPS LCD HD Plus display. Yes, that's HD Plus. And they are powered by the MediaTek G35 SoC with 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of internal storage. So where the 9A and the 9C differ is the cameras. So the 9A has got to the back a single 13 megapixel shooter and to the front a 5 megapixel selfie shooter. In terms of the 9C though, what we have is a triple rear camera setup. So that's got again the 13 megapixel primary shooter, but that's now combined with a 2 megapixel dedicated macro snapper as well as a 2 megapixel depth sensor. And the 5 megapixel selfie snapper obviously returns. So whichever way it goes, this is going to be a budget focused phone from Redmi. I guess it would be priced somewhere around the 7 to 9,000 rupee mark. What do you guys think would be a good price for the Redmi 9 Prime whenever it launches? Let me know in the comments. Now, good news for you Samsung users who absolutely cannot stand Bixby. It seems like Google is trying to coin a new deal where Samsung would be pushing Google Assistant and the Google Play Store over their own Galaxy Store as well as Bixby. So does this mean that future Samsung phones won't have Bixby or Galaxy Store at all? We don't really know that for certain. I mean, I am all for, having more choices because, hey, we don't ever want monopoly in any market. But that being said, I don't really know if Bixby is the best assistant out there. I mean, personally, I don't use a lot of AI assistants, but if you guys use Bixby a lot, if you have used it a lot in the past or you do it in the present, do tell me how your experience has been. How does it compare to Google Assistant, Alexa, and all the other AI assistants out there? Like, is it worth keeping around? Do any of you, okay, here's a question for you guys. Do any of you actually use Bixby regularly? I would be really interested in knowing. Let me know in the comments. So for the last few years, Samsung has been always the biggest smartphone seller in the world. Yes, it's been Samsung at the top with Apple at number 2, and it's always been like that. Number 3 has gone to Huawei. So it seems like despite the US ban, Huawei has been marching forwards and they have actually managed to sell more phones than Samsung in Q2 of 2020. Yes, Huawei has sold around 55.8 million compared to 53.7 million for Samsung. That means they have edged them out by 2 million and some change phones, which is like not a big number, but quite a substantial margin considering how bad 2020 has been for most companies. So looks like Huawei is doing fine despite the US banning them from using Play Store and Google services. What is your perception of Huawei and Honor devices right now? Would you buy one of them if they came in cheap enough and if they offered good enough specs? Again, let me know in the comments. Moving on to the next news, it seems like we have a 399 rupees phone from Jio coming very soon. Yes, it's supposed to be the leaked Jio Phone 5, and no guys, this is not the one that we reported on a few weeks earlier. This is not running on Android Go. Instead, it seems to be running on KaiOS. It's actually only 399 rupees as I mentioned before, so it's even cheaper than the original Jio Phone, which originally retailed for somewhere around $1,000, but then came down in price and now retails for somewhere around 700 rupees. So what features are this Jio Phone gonna have? Apparently it's gonna still retain the free internet calling, it's gonna have 4G access, but the rest like Wi-Fi, GPS, NFC and all that, well, we don't really know if this super budget phone is gonna have that. But hey, it's still good news for a lot of people who are still stuck at 2G and 3G speeds while the market is being bombarded by phones with 5G capabilities. What's more, sources also seem to claim that this phone will be under the Made in India campaign. So yeah, That's good. So moving away from the smartphone news to some camera news, we have the new A7S Mark III being launched from Sony. Now it comes with a 12.1 megapixel sensor, and the biggest thing about this camera is how good it performs in low light. And not only that, it also has a 16-bit RAW output capability, so it can RAW. So right now there are no recorders that are available for 16-bit RAW, but even then it can output 16-bit RAW through the HDMI as well as write it to its internal memory. Not just that, in terms of resolution, the A7S Mark III can shoot up to 4K at 120 FPS and 1080p Full HD footage at 240 frames per second. So yeah, pretty impressive stuff right there. So wrapping up today's segment with a game of the week. So yeah, this is something new we are adding to Talknology. This is basically a suggestion about a game that we here at C4E Tech have been playing throughout the week and we have really enjoyed it. And so why not give it to you guys, see what you guys think about the game. So today's game recommendation is Dead by Daylight. Now this is a PC port and this is like an asymmetric survival game where you can play as the killer or you can play as one of the four survivors. Either way, even if you play as the survivor or the killer, it's a really interesting game. The graphics are amazing, the sound is amazing. Like, I really like horror games and it's one of my favorites. So do let me know down in the comments what you think of the game, if you have played it on PC, if you have played it on mobile, if you're facing any bugs, or just let me know what you feel about the game in general. And that's about it for this week's episode of Talknology. Thanks a lot for watching till the end, guys. Have a good one. Cheers.